Welcome to The Voiceover with your host, D. Foster III, where we discuss relevant topics that affect the culture with bold, independent commentary. Get ready to be inspired, enlightened, and encouraged.
Welcome to the Voiceover Now podcast. I'm your host, D. Foster III, CEO and President of Wake Up Global Networks International. And I want to say thank you so much. It's Friday somewhere. If you like it straight, no chaser, you are at the right place. At the beginning, I want you to like, subscribe, share, follow, because we're going into part 2 of the conversation I had with my brother Daren Muhhmand, from the host of the State of the City radio show right here in the DMV. I want you to like it. I want you to share. I want you to follow, and I want you to subscribe. I want to say thank you for all of your support. I truly hope you had a blessed Christmas with your family. And as I said on the Voice of Hope Connection that airs every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. right here on WPB Media Networks, I want to say shout out to its owner and its CEO and its operator, that is April J. Want to say thank you for all that she does. Even her mom, Pastor Maple Hall, and all of her family. Happy holidays to you. Hope you had a blessed Christmas, and may God continue to reward you for the platform that you give voices like ours, conscious voices, a platform to have a voice in the universe. Listen, I want to say join me on Tuesday the 31st. That's right, before we get into part 2, the 31st, God has given us a prophetic word. The Holy Spirit's job is to show us things to come. I know prophecies and prophets and fake prophets have arisen, but fake money has arisen, but they're still the real currency. They're still the real prophets. And the prophets are prophesying about 2020, not vaguely, but specifics. Join me right here on WPB Media Networks, 9 o'clock Tuesday, December the 31st, where the Lord has given us a word, and the signs are in the heavens, the signs are in the earth, and the sign is in us. The Holy Spirit says, when I have come, I will show you things to come. I will speak to you, he says, what I hear and show you, so we can know things to come. If there is a prophet, I will do nothing in the earth except I reveal it unto my servants, the prophet. I said on our Sunday morning that I remember when my prophetic gift was awakened by the Archbishop E. Bernard Jordan. He was at our church many years ago, and he's flown in the Spirit, and he just comes to me and touched me and said, it's in you. Use it. I said, what? He said, the prophetic is in you. And that's what Timothy meant when he says the stirring up of the gift. And the prophetic was stirred up. And little by little, I grew into knowing how to operate in the prophetic anointing. Well, join me as we flow prophetically on Tuesday, the 31st, 9 p.m. right here on W. If you're not in church, get in front of Facebook, get in front of YouTube, get in front of Instagram, wherever you get. There is a word, 2025. You say, what is it? I said it last week. It's a year of radical change. It is a year of quick, sudden, unexpected changes. 2024 was the year of demolition. And 2025 is when we start rebuilding into 2026 on every plane. I'll talk more about that on Tuesday. But right now, I want to get back into part 2 of the conversation and there was no subject to this because we just kind of float. That's how me and Brother Daren Muhhmand does when I'm on his radio show. You can catch him every Saturday, 12 noon until 2, WFBR on the AM dial, or if you want to go onto the internet, www.1590wfbr.weebly.com. I'm going to take you back into the conversation, and at the end, I want to hear from you. The Voice Over the Globe at gmail.com. The Voice Over the Globe at gmail.com. All right, don't forget, Tuesday night, 31st, live upload of the prophetic forecast, unpacking 2025. Can't you tell I am extremely excited about it? Thank you. Like it, share, follow, thumbs up. Push this network up in the algorithms. If you love conscious materials, if you love to be educated, if you love to be inspired, even if you love to be a little bit entertained, this is it. WPBMediaNetworks.com. let's go into the conversation with Brother Daren Muhhmand and myself, part 2 of Prophetically. I think we were speaking pretty prophetically, what we see on the horizon. Here it is.
Getting ready as we begin to transition into 2025.
2020, I'm going to parallel what happened in 2020 is there was a conjunction, and I'm talking about the heavens, the skies right now,
Yes.
because I'm going to bring it up to where we are now. There was a conjunction in Capricorn, which represents big business, which represents banking, which represents big corporations, which represents big money. There was a
Yes.
conjunction of Pluto, the planet of transformation, death, and rebirth, along with Saturn. There was a Pluto, Saturn, and then in March, remember March 2020, Jupiter
That's right.
joined that conjunction. And
Yes.
looking at the heavens, we didn't know how it was going to play out, but we
That's
said
right.
there is some great change that is coming that will change the world forever. So anyway, moving up to 2024 into 2025, there are all, and I think I said this on your show, one of the reasons that I believe that 2025 is just going to be a time of great change on the landscape. All 5 outer planets, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto,
Right.
and Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, I'm missing Saturn. All 5 of those are changing signs, which has not happened in 1,000 years, in a millennium.
Right.
Which means that we are moving, my brother, into, as you well know, and you speak every week on your show, we're moving not only into a new year, but
That's
we're
right.
moving into a new aura. We're moving
Right.
into a new time. And
That's
when I
right.
say time, I don't mean 2025, 2026. We're
Right.
moving into a new dimension.
That's
You
right.
mentioned earlier about spiritually awakened. Man, you hit on that thing, my brother, that
Yes,
I
sir.
believe that as the consciousness of the people are freed from the illusions that they were
Right.
bound to, and as
That's
those
right.
blinders are falling off and their
Right.
eyes are becoming open, we are coming into a new day of spiritual consciousness and spiritual awareness. Can you give us your insight on that?
Oh, absolutely. I think, as you're looking at all that's gone on, as we said in 2024, and normally there's the spiritual leadership is the ones who give guidance to the political leadership and all the other levels of leadership. What we didn't see, I think, with the presidential election, with all that has gone on, with the wars that have been going on, the spiritual men rise up, right, and give guidance to
Yeah.
the political leadership, the military leadership, and all of those who the people have looked to. So I think that because they're the power is not in might, the power is in right, and being
Yes.
in one and being in accord with the universe. So what the people unfortunately have seen, I think, is that most of the people have been now made to believe that the right and the might is in the political leadership, which always been in the spiritual. So I think that we'll see a lot of them as well, in terms of being sat down, and people have to come back to, of course, that spiritual connection and that oneness with, of course, God, that oneness with our creator, and ultimately that oneness with the universe. So I think that's part of what we'll see, of course, in 2025.
Yes, sir. You often say a word you have a lot of phrases that other people quote and don't give you the credit for.
Yes, sir.
But one of the phrases that you always say is selected versus elected.
Yes.
And I often think about, for years and years, there has been the selected in office. But
Right.
I think, and we're going to get a little bit into this, through this presidential election, we saw that begin to transition, that we're
Yes.
coming into a time that is not about who is selected, but
Right.
who is really elected, and not just elected by the people, but as you have
Right.
said, been selected by God. I often say there's no other way a man as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan could stand in his position, speak
That's right.
to power for so many years, not been
Yes.
touched, not been harmed, unless he was elected by God. And so I believe we're living in a day where we're going to see the downfall, and we're seeing it, of the
Yes.
selected. Okay, you play the game. You're in because you play the game. You're in because
Right.
you eat the king's meat. So you
Right.
can't speak truth to power. But I believe that this is the day when we're going to see those who are elected, not only by the people, but elected by God to take a
That's right.
stand and speak truth to that false power and see them crumble and lead us into the day that we should be in. Give us your thoughts on what's been going on versus the elected and the selected.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it, I think, in clear context with what the Democratic Party attempted to do with basically kicking Biden out of the campaign, trying to
Yes,
force feed Kamala to make her coronation or her inauguration, essentially a coronation, to coordinate her rather than have open primaries as the Republican Party has done. But we've seen this in other countries, not just this is because it's close. We all say charity, clarity, parity begins at home. So we've seen it
yes,
right
sir.
here in the United States, but we've seen it around the world where you've had some of these groups and secret societies and organizations that plan to put their man or their woman over a certain country. And the people rose up against that and didn't go with the one who was selected that they want to put into place, even though they would try to use every type of stumbling block, every type of roadblock, every type of legal, illegal court case against Donald Trump. But it wasn't just taking place with Donald Trump. This was in, I think I read 74 countries around the world.
Wow.
And in these 74 countries around the world, the none of the incumbents were reelected except I think Modi in India and I think
Wow.
Netanyahu maybe in Israel. But all other countries, the leadership or the incumbents were voted out because the people were saying we want to go in another direction. We want something other than what you're offering right now. So and even those that maybe had a disdain for Donald Trump and how they were positioning him through the mass media, the constant barrage every day
Yes,
in terms of Trump, 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 Trump. And unfortunately, some of our people operating on that low vibratory frequency, they kind of gave in and succumbed to that you couldn't have a conversation with them without talking about Trump. Trump became,
that's
as I
right.
jokingly
That's
say,
right.
tongue in cheek, for some of the black men, he became a shot of Viagra, Cialis, or extends for them. They couldn't talk about nothing else but Trump. So we say, no, this is bigger than Trump. He's just an
Yes,
instrument or a vessel that's being used, right? For
yes,
an
yes.
idea and for a paradigm and for this time that we're in right now, you know? And so I think that once we can really have those conversations, you couldn't have it with too many because they were so emotional. And if
That's
you
right.
said anything that they thought was uh, uh, um, positive about Trump, or you said something and what they thought was an admirable way you were speaking about Trump, then they were quick to want to cancel you. People who we've known for years, people who've gone to our churches,
Yes,
our mosque, our organizations. If you couldn't, women sometimes were separating from their men in their relationship, men separating from the women, parents, children separating from their parents. So we had a lot of social engineering going on as well, you know. So and I think that those that tread on these conversations. Some decided to tread lightly because of that. Whereas, others, we just said that we have to give the people the truth and
yes,
giving them the
yes,
truth. And what we saw
yes.
in 2024, truth wasn't popular because the way, again, the politics was set up, or I say the politics was set up, right? In terms of, again, going opposite of what the people were longing for and wanting in 2024.
If you're just joining in, I'm sharing with my brother Daren Muhhmand. He is the host of a weekly radio show, The State of the City, that is broadcasted on the World Wide Web, of course, and he'll give you that address in a minute. But locally in the DMV, WFBR 1590 on the AM dial every Saturday. He comes strong, long, from 12 noon until 2, and you need to check him out. Brother Daren, give your web address for your show, and if you have social media that you would like to give out, please feel free to do so also.
Yeah, well, web address, of course, is with Daren Muhhmand at gmail.com, where you can tune in, but we don't podcast our shows on the Gmail account, but we do podcast on Facebook. We podcast on Spreaker at www.spreaker, State of the City. And we also, of course, podcast on Instagram, and our Instagram is simply State of the City Baltimore. We're on from 12 to 2 every Saturday. And then we also do a weekly podcast on Instagram and Facebook on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights at 7 p.m. from 7 to 9. Sometimes we'll go till 10.
Can you give our audience information of how they can connect to you on, if you don't mind, on Instagram or Facebook?
Oh, yeah. Facebook is Daren Muhhmand, Daren, and Muhammad, Muhammad, on Facebook. So if you send me the Facebook request, I'll be honored. Of course, you to be my Facebook friend, Facebook guest, and you can tune into the show. And I always say, get in where you fit in where you get in. For we bring the show to an end. Is all you have to do. So thank you for that opportunity. And again, Instagram, State of the City Baltimore is our Instagram hashtag, and where we stream our shows, and we post all of our shows on Instagram as well. When we're not being shadow banned, where we're not being censored. See, all of that was part of what we went through in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, doing, as we call it, the pandemic, plandemic, scamdemic, transdemic. I think that was another part of what we saw. And I think that a lot of that will come to an end as we're going into 2025. But it's because of podcasts such as yours and others that are out here that have these kind of podcasts that even the mainstream media, black and white, people are no longer listening to and listening for and listening through to be socially engineered and scared and steered with their information. Because in spite of what they attempted to do in 2024, we saw the masses of the people come out and vote the way they wanted to vote, speak the way they wanted to speak, and events that occurred, the mainstream media didn't see coming. And because of that, people are no longer tuning in. Their ratings have gone down. Their advertising is now going down on black radio, such as Radio One and other stations that have had 57 stations around the country, and they haven't used radio in which to raise and transform our people. Then, there's the old saying, it's the law of use and misuse. And if you don't use it, then God will, through the spiritual realm and through the economic realm, take it away from you and give it to someone else who's going to be responsible and know how to use this medium called radio and media the way that it should be used. And what we found out, unfortunately, that black radio and black media became nothing but a vessel and nothing but a mouthpiece for, again, the Democratic Party, and buying them as it came out that Oprah was paid a certain amount of money, Beyonce was paid money, Al Sharpton was paid money, even the black barbershop where Kamala Harris sat down and spoke with the brothers in Philly, they received $20,000. And so, it's like they were selling their souls, right? As opposed to using it as an opportunity to raise the political consciousness of our people, raising political ideas of our people, the agenda for our people in terms of black agendas. You could sit in a barbershop with black men in Philadelphia, and we have prisoners being pardoned right now, and no brothers in the barbershop talking about one of the greatest political prisoners that our people know in the last 20 years in Mumia Abu Jamal, and you don't bring that up to Kamala Harris. That's an insult to all of our black political prisoners and men and women that are in prison as we speak. And this is the time of the year where presidents will, of course, execute what they call pardons and also commutation of sentences for the goodwill between Thanksgiving and New Year. And this president, he only pardoned 2 white turkeys. If you throw in Hunter Biden, that was 3 white turkeys, but he only pardoned 2 white turkeys. I say, no, he got to find some black turkeys he could pardon, right? But again, he commuted the sentence of 1,500 people, and 39 people he pardoned. And those that are here in Baltimore that have been talking about a pardon for Marilyn Mosby, the former Baltimore City State's attorney, she didn't get a pardon for her nonviolent crimes. And so,
my brother,
again, that's part of what we're talking about here.
Talk about that, because I have been very transparent as I am on my show, and I call it like it is. I I felt like, okay, for the crimes that were listed against our people while people were shut up, unemployed. And I
Right.
even did a show here, and you submitted false information to get money uh,
Right.
to buy a home that you gave misrepresentation of what would happen, and
Right.
to get to have all the city. See, and this is what I'm saying about our people. Our people will never go forward until we get out of the realm of emotionalism.
Right. Right.
Everything is not about emotions, gender, female, male. Some
Right.
things are about principle, right
That's
or
right.
right principle. I'm D. Foster III, CEO and President of Wake Up Global Networks International. On Tuesday, December the 31st at 9 p.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time, right here on WPBMediaNetworks.com, I'm going to be unpacking what I see for 2025 through 2026, giving you the prophetic forecast. Listen, God says, I'll do nothing in the earth except I reveal it to his servants, the prophets. We have a right to know 2025, 2026 is going to be a year of sporadic, unannounced revolutionary changes. Find out more on the 31st. If you're not in church, and if you are, you can be a part of the replay crew, 9 p.m. sharp, right here on WPBMediaNetworks.com. You can email us at thevoiceovertheglobe@gmail.com, thevoiceovertheglobe@gmail.com. Remember,
Thank you for being a part of The Voiceover. Please follow us on all of our social media platforms to stay connected to our upcoming shows and guests. Instagram at The Voiceover Radio. Twitter at DPropheticI. That's the letter D, Prophetic, EYE. If this show has enriched you in any way, please share The Voiceover among your circle. Until next time, keep allowing your voice to